Hey guys, Bix Weir, road2road.com. Coming to you from the Jeep. Just dropped off my son on my way to my next errand. I thought I'd talk about something that I believe is happening right now. Let me get this right. There you go. And that is the calm before the storm in the cryptos. I think both Russia, China, and the United States are all on the brink of announcing that they will embrace the cryptocurrencies, embrace the blockchain-based tokens, and companies that are being built are going to announce that the old system is dying and a new system is absolutely necessary. And you are going to see the spike of all spikes in the cryptos. And that entails a lot of these crypto companies that have issued tokens to either spike and go off the charts if it is a good idea. And this, on the same level, there's going to be announcements of massive amounts of regulation around these crypto tokens, crypto companies. And the reason for that is, in order for a legitimate monetary system in the crypto world to form, you're going to need regulations. Because there's more scammers out there than there are legitimate companies. So it's so important that you are invested in the right place at the right time. And I think the right time is between now and the end of the year. And if you want to get a little more, a closer time frame, I would say by the end of October, beginning of November, is when you're going to see this rollout happen that the United States, Russia, and China have all been prepping for. They haven't really clamped down on any of these rules. China, if anything, is cleaning up their markets before this move. And you will see certain companies be taken down by the federal government and charges laid on companies that are not good for humanity going forward, and there will be no mercy on the people who are trying to scam people. Another thing you will see is a huge push towards legislation to protect Bitcoin and to protect the cryptocurrencies, as in anybody caught trying to hack, scam, or anything deter from the new monetary system of cryptos will be very much frowned upon by the regulators, so much so that they will be prosecuted through the full extent of these new laws. So basically, there's going to be cyber police out there checking to make sure that the cryptocurrency, all the hacking and stuff that's going on right now into these companies that are basically stifling the innovation, you'll see an increase in the penalties massively as a deterrent, so that the legitimacy of the crypto world will come into full-fledged. And obviously people will always try to lie, cheat, and steal. But if the penalties are big enough, such as life in prison if you try to screw with the cryptocurrency, the legitimate cryptocurrency blockchains, life in prison and forfeiture of all your assets and all your family's assets and all their family's assets, I think you'll see a lot of these hackers get scared to death and not even attempt to cause any ruckus in the new system. Is it absolutely necessary that this happens? No, but it would really add legitimacy to the attempt by governments around the world to leave the unbacked fiat system, the corrupt current system, and go towards the crypto system, a system based on truth and honesty. When you hear people say that Bitcoin will never work because the government will shut it down, because it's used in drug deals and you can use it to launder money, I think the proper response is our current system is based on drug deals and based on laundering money, and when that corruption is exposed, then you'll see that the cryptocurrencies, at least you have truth and honesty in these dealings, and they're visible instead of HSBC, JP Morgan, the CIA dealing in drugs behind the scenes, laundering money, and the real criminals in money laundering and in drug running are actually those businesses associated with the unbacked fiat system. All that truth, that will be a truth bomb to most of humanity. Most of humanity doesn't understand that money laundering goes on at the highest echelon. It's absolutely condoned by the people within the Federal Reserve System, within the SWIFT system. And yes, I am of two minds about the Federal Reserve. The majority of them are just people doing their job. There are some good guys within the Federal Reserve, and there are some bad guys within the Federal Reserve. The bad guys have had control for a long time and have facilitated covert actions by governments in the finance world. That's got to end. And so if you really want to fight the corruption of money laundering and drug running, don't get mad at Bitcoin. Get mad at the central banking system, the major financial institutions that are involved in money laundering and drug running, meaning HSBC, Citibank, JP Morgan, and this has all been proven over the years. And what happens to people like HSBC and JP Morgan? They pay fines. Well, when you can create money out of thin air based on, you know, the click of a mouse, which most banks can do these days, and only have to hold, 10% or 5% in reserve, then you're creating money out of thin air. So money's not a big deal to you. So paying fines is not a big deal to you. But in the new system, when that's more, it's been exposed time and time again. HSBC, Hong Kong, Shanghai Bank, was created by the Bank of England to start the opium wars, to draw all the silver out of China and destroy that country and get them hooked on opium. That's the basis of HSBC, and that is all, that's a well-known, established fact. And whether or not they do the same type of operations today has been proven every time that you see some big money laundering sting operation or someone get busted for money laundering or help assisting in drug running, or Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme. Who was the banker for Bernie Madoff? There was only one banker, and that was JP Morgan. So obviously they were not only just some banker on the side, they were involved, not complicit, but involved with the conspiracy. It was much bigger than 50 billion. It was 500 billion, and it was a way to pay off the bad guys for their dirty deeds. And the Israeli Mossad was involved, and all kinds of nefarious things were going on. So yeah, I think it is time that we, at least to some point, pull up the curtain and say, hey, if we really want to stop drug running, if we really want to stop the illegal money laundering, then we got to shut down the unbacked fiat system, shut down the banking system that we have today, which is responsible for 99.999% of the drug smuggling and of the money laundering within the world today. And so anybody who tells me that Bitcoin is used used for bad things, just remember what they were saying in the early 1990s with the invention of the World Wide Web. The World Wide Web was invented and put into place for the whole world to use in 1990. And for 3 years, they were saying, oh my God, this is going to be used for really bad illicit things. It's going to be used for drugs and money laundering, and the exact same things they're saying about Bitcoin and blockchain technology today, they were saying about the World Wide Web in 1990. And is it used for that? Of course it is. It's used for all that stuff. But do the benefits outweigh the costs? That's the key thing. And what is our biggest problem today? Our biggest problem today is this unbacked fiat debt that is strangling humanity, absolutely strangling humanity. And the forgiveness of all the money runners that keep this system going, like JP Morgan, HSBC, the Federal Reserve, the U.S. Treasury, the Bank of England. All these people are just keeping this game going so that the chaos doesn't hit. But in actuality, they are the reason and the cause for all this chaos. Had this never happened, had this experiment in monetary control that began really after 1913 in the U.S. 1913 was the invention of the Federal Reserve Bank. I think they did it on purpose, not to, give the banks all the power. I think they did it because they found millions of tons of gold in the Grand Canyon, and it was going to destroy the monetary system. So they talked certain people within the federal government to go off the gold standard and pretty much rig the markets and give the controls to the banksters in order to not to go through the chaos that is still pending. And that chaos will happen any day as soon as you can't get away from it. It's just getting worse and worse. Now, back then, millions of people would have been affected and millions would have died. Today, billions and billions will be affected and billions will die if the system isn't smoothly transferred out of the old criminal system into something new like blockchain technology. Anyway, this is just a brief update. I'm going to give you one more on some really cool stuff about the bottoming of the tokens right now and how high I think they will go. And here's a hint. The good ones, if you remember, Ethereum was hovering around, $5 to $15 only like a year and a half ago. And then it shot up to $300, $400, $500. That is going to happen to a lot of these tokens. So I'm going to talk about that in just a second. This is Bix Weir, roadtoroot.com.